Hey everyone, my name is Ellen and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to play I'm Yours by Mraz on the guitar. So go ahead and stay tuned if this is something you'd like to learn. But first, a huge shout out to my patrons on my Patreon page for picking this song as this month's patron pick. If you want a little voting power in the songs you see here on my channel, make sure to check out my Patreon page linked down below. I tried to be chill, but you're so hot that I melted. So this song is going to be pretty beginner friendly for the most part. There are a few things that are hard about it, but we'll get into that later into the tutorial. But in order to play this song in the same key as Mraz, you will want to have your guitar in standard tuning and go ahead and put your capo on the 4th fret. The reason we're doing this is just to kind of make our chords a little bit easier to play, to make this as beginner friendly as possible. So with that being said, there are 6 chords to play through this whole song, and one of them is a bar chord, which is B minor, but no worries, you literally only play this chord one time through the entire song, so it is kind of skippable if you don't want to do bar chords. And then on top of that, I wanted to show you 2 different strumming patterns as well as one like solo riff that you hear throughout the song. So let's go ahead and jump into it, and we'll start with the chords. Alright guys, so I've gone ahead and zoomed in so we can take a closer look at these chords. Like I said, there are 6 that you need to know for this song, and let's go ahead and start with the first one, which is G, which looks like this and sounds like this. After that, we've got our D chord, which looks like this and sounds like this. Then we have our E minor chord, which looks like this and sounds like this. We have C, which looks like this and sounds like this. The other 2 chords you use a lot less often than these 4, but you do still need to know them. So one of them is A7, which looks like this and sounds like this. And then the last chord is a bar chord, which is a B minor, but don't worry, you only have to play it, I think, once throughout the entire song. So it looks like this and sounds like this. And those are the 6 chords you need to know to play this song. Alright, so after you have those chords memorized, go ahead and pause the video for a few minutes and just practice transitioning between them. Because of the strumming pattern that's used throughout this song, it does make the transitions feel a little bit faster, so it's really important that you are able to transition your chords. If you need a little extra help, I do have a video right here about chord transitions and practice tips and things like that, so make sure to check it out if you need help. But otherwise, let's go ahead and move on, and I will show you the strumming patterns that I would use for this song. So if you're familiar with any of my other tutorials, I do always start with this first strumming pattern, which is going to be a single down strum on the beat for every chord change. Now normally I would refer to this as my practice pattern because you want to use it to practice the song. However, I actually do use this throughout the song, kind of towards the end for the outro and things like that, so I'm going to call this strumming pattern 1. So basically what we want to do is just do one simple down strum on the beat for every chord change, and the point of this pattern is to really get used to where those chord transitions are going to be, like what word you're singing and things like that. So let's go ahead and go through an example. You have your G chord on, that's the first chord in the song. You're just going to strum down once, then go to your D, E minor, and then C. Alright? And about 85–90% of the song is just those chords in that order, so you're already halfway there, I would say. But what we want to do now is put the words to the strumming pattern, just so you can get really used to where you'll be doing those chord transitions. So let me put that on screen so you guys can see that. So starting with our first verse. Well, you done me and you bet I felt it. I tried to be chill, but you're so hot that I melted. I fell right through the cracks. Now I'm trying to get back. Alright? So So just take a little mental note of what word you're singing whenever you're doing those chord changes, and that's really going to help whenever you kind of bump up the difficulty level of the strumming patterns when we go into our second strumming pattern. If you need a little extra help with this, you can go to my Patreon page and print out my guides. I do have the chord changes above all of the different words that you'll be singing and things like that, so it does help with that kind of practice. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into our second strumming pattern. So our second strumming pattern is super popular. It's just down, down, up, down, up, and it's gonna sound a little something like this. Alright, so now that you've heard the rhythm, what we're going to do is play this pattern through 2 times for every chord change. So let's go ahead and practice just the rhythm first. If you have your G chord on, since that's the first chord of the song, I'll count us off and then you hop in whenever you feel comfortable. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Go ahead and hop in. That pattern can actually be used for the entire song and it sounds really great with it. But one thing we do want to do now is go ahead and put in those chord transitions so that we can hear what that sounds like. So again, remember, we're going to play this pattern through 2 times for each chord. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. G, twice, E, twice, E minor, twice, and C. So like I said, the majority of the song is played exactly with this pattern with these chords in that progression order, so you're already really close to being able to play this. But one thing I do want to add on to this is something a little bit kind of cool and optional that you can put in there if you want to have a little bit more fun, which is a palm mute. So what I'm doing there is whenever I'm playing through these patterns, I'm going to take the side of my pick hand, my right hand, my playing hand, and just gently lay that on the strings between my sound hole and the bridge. So now whenever you strum, instead of letting it ring, it's going to be a little bit more of a dampened sound. All right? And so if you need a little extra help, I do have a full tutorial here on how to do palm mute, so check that out if you need to. But what I'm gonna do is add in a palm mute to this exact same pattern. If you're familiar with this song, it kind of starts out a little bit more like dampened, muted, punchy, and then towards the end it gets a little bit louder. So we're gonna emulate that by adding the palm mute towards the beginning of the song. G, E, twice, E minor, got that palm mute going, to C. Well, you done me and you bet I felt it. I tried to be chill, but you're so hot that I melted. I fell right through the cracks. Now I'm trying to get back. So you can hear the difference that it makes. It kind of just makes the guitar part a little bit more interesting and kind of makes it a little different. So if you want to add that in, you know, feel free to do that. I'm going to do that for my cover. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the little solo riff kind of thing that you can hear throughout this song. So we'll zoom in and I'll show you how to play that. Don't you wanna, baby? Oh. Guys, so I've zoomed in again so we can take a closer look at this little solo riff. It kind of repeats itself throughout the song, so it is a cool little thing that you can know and kind of add to your cover to make it more interesting, and it's actually not that hard to play. So before I start, I just wanted to, you know, give you guys a reminder that all of the little numbers of these frets on this tab that you're gonna see is in reference to your capo being on the 4th fret, okay? So now this is your 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, you know, so on. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. So the first thing I want you to do is take your middle finger and your ring finger, and we're gonna put that on the 3rd fret of our top 2 strings, B and E. And that's how it's gonna start, and I like to just use my fingers to pick this. I'll usually use my thumb on the bottom and then my pointer finger on the top. But if you have a preference to use different fingers, like by all means, go ahead and experiment with that. But so you'll see here we've got our 2 3s because we're on the 3rd fret, and then you'll see a slash. So with these slashes, if you notice the slash goes up and to the right, that usually represents a slide. So you're going to slide up, okay? And then again, if you see a slash the opposite direction, up and to the left, that would be a slide down, okay? So in this case, we've got a slide up. So we've got from our 3rd fret, slide up to our 5th, okay? And you're just keeping those same 2 fingers down and sliding up. Perfect. So then once you do that, you just want to come back down to the 3rd fret, pick those again. So you can already kind of hear that little solo coming. All right, super simple. And then another thing to mention is I'm using my middle and ring finger, but if you find it more comfortable to use other fingers, go ahead and experiment with that as well. I'll show you in a second why I use these fingers. So you got this first part. Now what you want to do is we're going to keep on these top 2 strings with your middle and ring finger on the 3rd fret. You're going to do that slide one more time. And then this time when you come back down, I want you to take your pointer finger and put that on the 2nd fret of the high E string. Okay, see that? So we're switching our ring finger and our pointer finger. And you're still picking the same strings. So again, that's... You're already halfway done, so let's go ahead and go to the next one. The reason I like to use these fingers is because now when we go to our next little slide, it's going to be a little bit easier. So what I want you to do is now take your first finger and move that from the 2nd fret of the top E over 2 strings, okay? So now you're on the 2nd fret of the G string, all right? So you're going from here to here, like that. So then you would go ahead and pick that G and B string, and then this time you want to slide up again, and this time you're going up to the 4th and 5th fret. All right, so you're going up 2 frets. Okay, and then after that, we're just going to let go of all our fingers and pick the open G and B string. All right, so let's go over what we've learned so far again with our middle and ring finger on the top 2 strings, 3rd to 5th slide, and then back down. Then 3rd to 5th slide again, then put your first finger on, or your pointer finger, then move it over 2 strings, and now we're going to pick with our right hand the G and the B string. We're going to slide up from 3 and 2 to 5 and 4, and then open. All right, perfect. And then we're almost done. Now you just want to end with the easiest part of this little lick because there's no slides. You're just going to pick your open G and B string, and you're going to do that twice. But on the second time, we're going to do what's called a hammer-on. So you'll see here this little H, that represents a hammer-on, and what we're going to do is just take our first finger, and as you pick it, when it's open, you're going to hammer on your first finger. So you should be able to hear another note, like that, okay? So now if you put the other open string with it, we've got, all right, so just that little hammer on there. So let's go ahead and do the whole thing again, starting on our 3rd fret. And then the hammer on. And then it just starts over. And so again, the reason I'm using these particular fingers on my left hand is because I found that to be the easiest way to kind of switch between all of these slides and everything. But again, if you feel more comfortable with different fingers, go ahead and practice around on that with that on your own, and feel free to use whatever fingers feel more natural to you. But with that being said, we now know everything we need to know for this song, so let's go ahead and put everything we've learned together. Guys, so now that you have those chords memorized and the strumming patterns down, and you've got that solo riff under your belt if you want to, it's your turn to have some fun. So let's go ahead and put everything we learned together to play through the whole song. So join me in this video right here where I will have the chords and lyrics and everything you need to know on screen in front of you so we can play through the song together. Or if you find this video to be a little bit too fast, you can also join me on my Patreon page where I have customizable backing tracks where you can slow things down, speed things up, turn things on and off. It's very interactive and you can kind of tailor how you want to have your practice session. So I hope you'll check that out. On there you can also get printable guitar guides where everything is written out for you. So it's a good way to have a reference for all of the songs that you've ever seen on my channel here. So I hope you'll check that out. And another huge thank you and shout out to my existing patrons that are already on my Patreon page. I'll have all of their names listed on screen right now. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support me and being able to make this tutorial as well as all the other tutorials on my channel possible. You guys rock and I love you. So yeah, that concludes my tutorial. Thanks so much for watching. If it helped you, make sure to give me a thumbs up down below as well as subscribe to my channel. That way you never miss out on any other new tutorials. Here are my social media sites in case you'd like to follow me on any of those. That's just where I do fun things like behind the scenes looks at things coming up. I'll poll you guys on things you want to see, and there's an occasional giveaway on there as well, so I hope you'll check that out. But otherwise, thanks so much for watching. I hope this helped, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!